All right, we're going to do a practice called the Waterwheel. So imagine you're standing in water up to about the height of your navel. You're just going to reach out with one of your hands. And you're going to lift up some of that water. You're going to imagine that you pour it down the front line of the body as the other hand comes up. So you're just lifting with one hand as the other hand comes down. You imagine you're pouring it down the front line of the body. And if you want, you can bring this into phase with the breath so that you're breathing in as one hand comes up and breathing out as that hand goes down. Or if you like, you can just kind of move the hands and let the rhythm of the hands be one thing and the rhythm of the breath be the other. And you can have a little bit of turning to the hips if that feels good, but that's optional. You're just kind of pouring water down the chest like so, like lifting the water and pouring it down. So we're going to talk about Aesop's fable of Diogenes the cynic and the ferryman. So the philosopher, ancient Greek philosopher Diogenes the cynic, he's walking along one day and he comes to a river or stream. And the stream is flooded, so it's more like a river. And he looks at it and he wants to get across, but doesn't know how to do it. And he kind of just stands there, kind of looking at the river. And there's a ferryman. It's called a ferryman, but he'll just pick people up and kind of carry them across the water. And he sees Diogenes there, and Diogenes is looking kind of helpless. And the ferryman goes over to Diogenes and he picks him up and he carries him across this flooded stream. And they get to the other side, and Diogenes looks at him and kind of bemoans the fact. He says, "Well, I'd really like to give you something in gratitude. Like I'd like to pay you for this, but I'm poor. I got nothing." And that sort of was Diogenes' shtick. And so while he's bemoaning the fact that he has no wealth with which to show gratitude in that way to the ferryman sees some other person who's come to the river and is looking helpless. And the ferryman goes to the other guy and he picks him up and he carries the other guy across this flooded stream. And Diogenes looks at him and says, "Well, I was feeling bad that I couldn't pay you, but I realize with you, you're just addicted to this stuff. You just take anyone across." And the epimythium is something like, well, if a person does good to people who are both deserving and undeserving, then they're something like a madman. Now that kind of epimythium, I take it, is supposed to show that the ferryman is lacking in some kind of discernment, that he, I suppose, should have only been really willing to carry Diogenes the cynic across the river. I mean, maybe I'm getting that wrong, and the intention is to say he should have left Diogenes standing there and taken the other person. I take it, though, that if I were writing the epimythium, I would just say that the story shows that sometimes philosophers are dicks. All right, so we're going to keep doing this. We're going to try it one more time. So you're just pouring the water down the front of the body. And we go back into the story again. So Diogenes the cynic comes to a flooded stream. And he wants to get across, but he doesn't know how to do it. And there is this guy who's a gig, who's carrying people across the river when they need it. And he sees Diogenes. He understands that Diogenes doesn't have a way across. And so he goes over and he picks up Diogenes, maybe like some sort of fireman's carry or something, and carries him across the flooded stream and puts him down safely on the side. And Diogenes wants to pay him. But Diogenes, because Diogenes, he's a cynic philosopher, he doesn't have any money. And he's feeling bad about it. And at that moment, the ferryman runs across the river, picks up this other person who needs to get across, carries the other person across, and puts the other person down safely. And Diogenes says to him, "I felt bad about not being able to pay you, but I realized that you'll carry anyone across that river. You're a do-gooder who's addicted to this kind of thing. And the traditional epimythium is something like those who will go out of their way to help both those who are deserving and undeserving. They are lacking in some sort of appropriate judgment. Or maybe we should say the appropriate judgment would be don't go out of your way to help philosophers. You're going to release that down, take a look around, and that's it.